Let me float an idea by you, something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I like the idea. Get your critique it.
Sure.
So every kingdom on average has what, four ANS tournaments a year. Two of those quals, and then two Dragon Masters. And most
Mhm.
kingdoms will have another fifth one in there, whether it's a role play one or whatever it is. So my idea is make each of those tournaments. You got to take quals out because most kingdoms have very specific rules on quals.
Right.
But you've got the two Dragon Masters, and ideally you add a third one in. And each of those tournaments is the same every year. So I know in March I'm doing X, in June I'm doing, Y.
Mhm.
And then each tournament judges a different skill set for each one. And so, for instance, best of the best is always in March. That is a single item entry. That is that one thing.
Mhm.
And then the second tournament is we're going to go wide with this one. To win, you have to enter at least 3 categories or
Mhm.
5 categories and then go really wide with it. And then the third one, make it a super themed one. And that one doesn't have as much to do with the quality of your item, but with how well it fits to the theme that is presented. And then I think it would be fun to take, not only because could you track, oh well, this person is really good at best of the best, but they
Mhm.
can't really do this other stuff. But then if you took a point system from each of those tournaments and then gave out a yearly award for like what you're talking about, the overall Dragon Master for the whole year based on a multi-tournament thing that resets every January or something like that. I think that would be super fun.
That could be really cool, and it would be really fun from an analytical standpoint,
Mm.
just to like see, how people and not only progress, but just how they perform. Because I do think that it is interesting to see how people perform in like a best of a best versus like
Mm-hmm.
having to crank out 3 items or having to already have 3 items. Because like I know for me, I don't generally make stuff to enter into ANS. If I'm making something or I'm working on a commission, you know what, maybe I'll enter it if there's something, between here and my deadline. But like most of the time, it is just what I have
Mm.
and what I'm working on because I would rather put my full effort into like a commission and then enter a commission than like just to make something. Like I get that that sounds kind of weird, but like
No.
just because I have my business, it's better to put that creative energy in a way that I can feel productive about it.
Well, and I think
So,
most of the game is probably where you are, where a tournament rolls around and they enter the things they have made since the last tournament.
yeah.
I think I am an outlier in that I am specifically making items for tournaments. And if I happen to be able to sell them afterwards, cool. I think the majority of the game is in your camp. And part of the reason why I think that tournament format would be so cool is because personally, I struggle as an artisan in best of the best scenarios. My my craft, the things that I am really good at, my skill set lies more in wide.
Mhm.
I am it is just easier for me to get above average in a bunch of different things that average out to be better. But if
Mhm.
you put my work up against a bardic or up against a sick piece of garb, my woven belt should never beat a bardic. It shouldn't. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in all reality, it shouldn't. And so I think it could be super interesting to look back and go, okay, this person is really good at this specific type of tournament. It's the
Mhm.
same thing we do with our fighting tournaments. It's like, ooh,
Right.
that person is a sick pole fighter, but can they get good enough in sword and board to be able to actually push it over the top and be able to like? I just think that would be cool to be able to keep up with.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's very cool from an analytical standpoint, for sure. Like, and you don't see a lot of that in Amtgard
Mm.
right now. Like, it is. I wouldn't exactly say that it's not an idea that somebody has thought about before, because I'm sure they have, but it's not something that's been done before. Because you're right, we do have our Dragon Master, and that's generally, you enter 3 or more entries,
Mm-hmm.
and then quals is kind of weird because you
It's
have different
quals.
requirements
Yeah.
based. Like some kingdoms have actually moved away from having quals at all, and now they do just a crown tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty sure Dagorhir does a crown tournament now, where they do the fighting tournament, and then they also have an ANS tournament that's very similar to Dragon Master. And it depends region to region on how
Yep.
that's run. But I like the idea of not having to make entries for quals. I think it's just dated at this point. Like, I like how Winter's Edge does it because, you know, you declare and then you put out your intent, and then you also put out like your document of what you want to
Hmm.
do during the reign. And that is your qualifications.
I like
Aside
that.
from your standard like Kapora and your Reeves test, you got to have those. But that's standard across Amtgard. At least I think so, or I'm pretty sure. Um, but I do want to see that, absolutely.
Mhm.
Like, I think that it's something you should run with. I know that it kind of feels similar to like uh what am I trying to say?
The idea in my mind is for it to be a circuit. And so if
Yeah.
you're someone who is really good at one specific thing, like for instance, Bridge Wars and the Rising Winds, I
Mhm.
know when I show up at Bridge Wars, that event is, I know what I'm getting when I show up there. I know
Mhm.
what I'm getting when I'm at Keep.
Yeah.
March event and the Rising Winds is generally the RP event, and it's the, you know, it's the winter event. And so it's not going to be a series of a fighting event. And I, as a participant in these events, can prep for those things. I know what to expect going into it.
Yeah.
I think as a competitor in ANS, it would be super fun to know every year on this date, this coming tournament's what I need to prep for, because then I can prep further out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Like, if you are trying to do like a circuit, like you said, and then you have a
Mhm.
best of the best, then you know that you have a year to make
Yep.
your this incredible best of the best entry. Then like you have that time to put into it, because like